Let's do that again, except this time I know.
Okay.
I don't understand why you.
What is up, Watch Fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Watch Shop.
I am Lord Michael.
How are you a lord?
I own a plot of land in Scotland, thanks to established titles.
The sponsor for today's video.
Yes.
And you're now officially a lord.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Speak to me.
We'll hear more about that later. Okay, so today we're doing another episode of Underrated, Overrated.
Yes, sir.
We had a lot of fun last time. Talked about Popeyes, talked about the G-Wagon, Hamilton, talked about a bunch of stuff.
Yes, I
Go
remember.
ahead and watch that episode after this one because it's a fun little thing that we do.
Fun game, yeah.
Basically, I throw out a bunch of things, one at a time, obviously, and we discuss and debate whether or not these things are overrated or underrated. Very simple. I stole the concept from Gary Vee, and we're doing it here in Watches.
Boom.
But we integrate some other stuff in there too. All right. First, underrated or overrated? Diamonds on watches.
You want to count down?
Countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Underrated.
Overrated.
Oh wow, do we disagree?
I know.
Holy
I can't really find an answer there.
You can't find an answer?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It depends on the watch.
Thanks. Like,
That's what it is, truly.
But as a concept, right? I think the idea, the reason that diamonds on watches are grossly underrated, and now keep in mind, in the last couple of years they've been doing better, right? People have been coming around specifically through Rolex, right? Rolex has been doing a hell of a job manufacturing, particularly their day dates, with like just remarkable gem setting and gem selection. Truly like nuts what they're doing. And those watches have stolen a lot of attention, and people have really given them attention that they deserve, because the watch itself aside, the expertise, the art of gem setting is insane, and Rolex makes it very clear. Here's a good example. If you look at an aftermarket Rolex rainbow, right, you basically just say stones are stones, diamonds are diamonds, get the fuck out of here, which can be true in some circumstances. We're talking about in watches, particularly in watches. Look at an aftermarket rainbow, and it's clunky as shit, right? Not to mention that they're set poorly and they have pressure testing issues. Even put that aside.
Yes.
Right? Let's say it's set just fine. The gradation of color on the bezel is clunky. It's awkward. There's nothing smooth about it. Now, if you look at the gradation of color on a Rolex rainbow bezel, right? Of course, now the watch is diamond out. It's flawless. The fact that they're able to find these stones, these sapphires, perfectly between blue and purple, or they know that between blue and purple there need to be 4 stones, right? That bring you there.
Yes.
With different levels is unbelievable that they're able to do that. So yes, diamonds and stones in watches are getting more attention now, more positive attention than maybe they have in a long time, right? Keep in mind they went through a real bad phase with Jacob and Co. and all that stuff.
Yes.
But they're still underrated because I don't think people understand, normal people, right, regular guys understand how wearable, properly set watches, can be.
Well, here's a question. The setting of Rolex versus aftermarket. How much is a brand new diamond Rolex like that?
It depends on what we're talking about. A Rainbow Daytona is somewhere in the $150,000 range, whereas you're really paying $450 on the secondary market, but it's around $150 retail, and a secondhand one, meaning an aftermarket, would be like $50,000.
Okay.
Okay. So you're saving $100,000, but it's a watch, like it's pretty shit.
If you put in $100,000 more, could you get similar?
I don't know of. I've never seen an aftermarket. I guess the question would be, why
Where?
would you? As
Why
a
or
thought
where?
exercise.
Well, if secondary market's $450 and you can't get one anywhere, you go not secondary market and you get it done aftermarket for the same price, and then you
get it
technically
done,
save.
you do a better job.
Yeah.
If there was an aftermarket secondary jeweler that was as good as Rolex, which would basically be impossible because the Rolex's resources are never ending, and I really don't. I can't imagine that being true. I can't imagine it. But let's say it's true, then sure, I'd say yeah, that makes sense. I would consider going secondary market, but it would be so difficult. Rolex is choosing from millions and millions of stones, and they have hundreds and thousands of people doing it.
Yeah, right.
So one jeweler isn't going to be able to do it. It's a real art. So I think that diamonds on watches, while they are having a resurgence, I still think are underrated.
Interesting.
I think it's cool. And I have 2 watches with diamonds, but that's not even the watches that are cool yet, right? We're still, the watches that are going to become cool or are becoming cool are sports watches, right? GMTs, Submariners, day dates, things like that.
I think, and I don't know the technology, when diamonds can be utilized besides aesthetically in watches somehow, in sports watches, because I think that's what the sports watch market, and not necessarily what people are after, but what they feel when they buy it is that they'll use the watch for that specific reason.
What do you mean? Like, what would they...
Like, diamonds on a Submariner is like, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's a diving watch. Why would you want that? But if they were like, hey, at such and such depth, I'm making this up, such and such depth, diamond visibility of this or whatever, it makes it easier to read. Then people would lose their minds. Then that's super cool.
Yeah, in theory, that would be cool. I don't know if that would actually make
I don't know. I'm just making it up. But I'm saying in terms of like...
This guy just makes diamonds.
Me pitching this to Rolex.
They're like, that doesn't work.
Maybe at a certain depth, the
like,
pressure. What if we made the watch out of carbon and then it turns into...
They're like, here's my Zenith. It's $20,000.
I'm not bragging, guys. I'm not bragging.
Okay, so that's how I feel about diamonds and watches. I think they're going to continue to do well if you can get them, and it's difficult because they're already expensive. They're not cheap. I just think that they're going to do even better.
Bonus, overrated, underrated, cubic zirconium.
Appropriately rated.
Yeah, agreed.
Appropriately rated. Yeah. You know what's interesting though? I was talking to a jeweler because now this whole world of lab grown diamonds has become a thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm making up numbers here, but I think I'm pretty close. So like a $30,000 or $27,000 natural diamond, they can make basically the same spec of diamond, lab, and they're around like 8 to 10,000. So, or 8 to 12,000 in that range, right?
Yeah.
So you're paying a third of the price, basically.
Yeah.
So people are saying, well, lab grown is actually kind of interesting, which isn't CZ, right?
Yeah.
It's lab grown diamond. That's interesting. Well, people are buying them. Become a whole market. So now, apparently, from what I've heard, and I'm sorry, and let's rewind. The reason why they're buying them is because it's a good deal, but I don't feel cheap. I still spent $12,000. This is still a quality product. There's still perceived value. Right? You're basically selling the idea of the diamond market's bullshit. We make them ourselves. They're still incredible, which is why they're expensive.
Right.
So still spending money. But, you're saving money. The diamond industry, apparently, people that, De Beers, whoever it may be,
sure.
From what I hear, they are spending hundreds of millions on technology to be able to manufacture lab diamonds for cents. So then they'll flood the market with thousands and thousands and thousands of lab diamonds
to
for
lose
pennies,
value.
so they plummet in value. Because at $10,000 you like the lab diamond, but at $200 you don't. Now it's embarrassing.
Exactly.
Crazy, right?
But then they also had to put technology into, because it's really hard to tell you can't tell the two apart.
Visually, no, but the computers can in 2 seconds.
Oh,
yeah. They can recognize, I think, the pattern in the stone almost immediately.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they glow up a different color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there you go. There's a little fun fact that I heard on the street, on the watch dealer street.
Wow.
Okay, now next we'll do off watches, right?
Sure.
How about Weejuns? Bass Weejuns.
Whoa! I just did a review on those.
Did you really?
Yes.
There you go. 1, 2, 3.
Overrated.
Really?
Wow.
I think they're underrated.
Wow. Okay.
Why? Are they uncomfortable?
Oh no, they're comfortable, but it's a tough part. In the video, I basically said if you are going to get mall loafers or Weejuns are a great deal. Otherwise, they're not so good a deal.
So compared to what then?
J. Butler's. $60 difference, dramatically better product.
Oh, okay. So the J. Butler is producing disproportionate value. That's fine.
Exactly,
So go ahead and take a look at J. Butler.
Style-wise, iconic-wise, totally underrated.
I've purchased J. Butler as well. I like them. I think I have 2 pair. They're great.
Yes.
Go ahead and take a look. But for me, listen, I believe that there's no substitute for a truly great shoe, right? Mm-hmm. I wear my Alden 986s literally constantly.
You want some inside info about Waldens? I mean, Aldens.
Yeah.
The reason they're very beautifully made, but the reason their price is still very high is because they don't have any self-distribution or online distribution.
Yeah, they don't. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So I still wear Aldens. I love them. I think that I paid $600 for those shoes, or $550. Mm-hmm. I think that they are a lifetime investment. I know people that have been wearing, especially like lawyers, that have been wearing their Aldens for 30 years, and they're fantastic, and it's a classic shoe. So I do believe that if you have the extra money, then you don't spend the $100 on Weejuns, and you spend the $550 on Aldens. They will last a lifetime. They'll be incredible. That being said, I do not live in a bubble. I know that $500 is a lot of money.
Yep.
So if you're looking to build a classic, particularly prep American, style on a budget, I think that Weejuns are a great option.
Yeah.
So
it's all about budget. If you go, because now they're like $150. If you go just a little bit higher, Jay Butler level, they're not that good. But if you're like, that is my cap, $153 is my cap.
Yep.
There's no other option in terms of quality.
Yep. Well, there you go. Okay, next subject is another watch subject. I'm thinking we go to exotic straps.
Oh. Okay.
I think that they are
Underrated.
grossly underrated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that more watch brands should be paying attention to their strap game. I don't think that they do.
Yep.
I think. I can't think of a watch brand that could do a really phenomenal job. Longa does a great job with straps. A very good job. Yeah. Longa has a design language in straps, right? Like
Sure.
Box pad, like 2.5 millimeters, taper down to the tail. Like that is a very specific Longa style that I think is very, very cool.
Do you like padding?
Do I like padding? It depends. I mean, most of the straps in the Theo and Harris shop are flat pad, right? 2 millimeter flat pad, and I like that quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's versatile. It's not aggressive. It's just beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Our Batman strap, flat pad. We have a ton of straps in the Theo and Harris strap shop.
Yes.
Go take a look. They're handmade in outside of France, in Bologna, and in America. We have 3 different producers.
They are not straps you've seen before, guaranteed. Unless you've been to the Theo and Harris watch shop.
Yes, they are some of the best straps out there. A lot of our competitors sell subpar straps with bigger margins. I sell lower margin straps, and they're better because strap making money off of straps isn't my game. We have bigger fish to fry. So the strap business for me is an opportunity to make more contact with you guys. All right, it's a matter of delivering you disproportionate value, and that's it. So take a look, and I definitely think exotic straps are great. Rolex back in the day, I'm thinking mid 2000s, early 2000s, 2010, 2012, something like that.
Yeah.
Manufactured a whole line of day-dates on strap. They also produced them on bracelet, but on strap. And the straps matched the dials. And they were like green, amber, cherry. And it was so fucking cool. Like Rolex seemed to, at that point, understand that straps were valuable.
Yeah.
And yet, they don't even offer the date just on a strap anymore.
I know.
They don't even, it's odd. They used to offer the Daytona on a strap.
Do you think
now
just
they
because
only
it
offer
wasn't
it on
selling?
Oyster Flex. Do
you think because it wasn't selling?
I don't know. Listen, I think that Rolex could produce anything now and it would sell.
Of course,
If
yes,
Rolex
of
started
course.
producing Day-Dates and Daytonas on leather straps right now, it'd go nuts.
Yeah.
Rolex could manufacture, if they just released a blue, like let's say a blue or a green or a gray or whatever, Daytona, in a precious metal, and a matching leather strap or exotic strap, it would fly. Everyone would be like, oh, I love blue alligator.
I've always wanted a blue alligator Daytona.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that exotic straps, all straps, but exotic straps I think are super rich, and they're a terrific way to just elevate your watch, bring it to the next level. I think they're great. So I think they're grossly underrated.
This video is brought to you by Established Titles, which means that I am Lord Michael Christie.
I feel bad that I wasn't a lord before you, because I feel, a air of superiority. So tell me how it works.
So, Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are often referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. Sorry that I probably butchered that pronunciation.
So what you do basically is you go to establishedtitles.com. It's very simple, and you can buy a lordship pack, a ladyship pack, a couple title packs, so you and Sally can be lord and ladies.
Oh, wow.
And what you do with that purchase is, you'll be seeing it right now, but you get a frame basically saying you are now a lord, and explaining it. And what that money goes to is you get a small plot of land in the woodlands of Scotland that is preserved basically by your support.
Wow.
So that's what you're doing with this, and of course the novelty and the fun part is that you are now
But
lord.
really, it's a conservation effort. That's really interesting.
So you're not only getting this plot of land that you're conserving or helping to be conserved, you are also helping with a global reforestation process. So they're
that's
planting trees all over.
incredible. That's not because the idea
You're
of
not
being
buying a star,
right? Yeah, that's so cool. I really love that. So it's kind of funny that you are Lord Michael Christie. That is funny, of course.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly. It's kind of cool. I think that a lot of people would like to do that just for kicks, But you're actually in a very real way, helping protect this land.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's
Right.
awesome.
I
I
know.
love that. I'm not a lord yet. And I feel like shitty about it. You know, I'd like to be a lord now.
You should be a lord. You should get the couple back.
I should.
Because,
Sally would love that.
Yeah, especially because you love matching clothes.
Yeah.
Lord and lady.
Lord and lady.
Where should we go for breakfast today?
Lady.
I
don't know, Lord. That's terrific.
And what's fascinating now is we obviously have my plot of land, and the first 200 people that buy a plot of land will be plotted around me.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So you're the center. You're the center lord.
Of course, yes.
Right.
I'm Lord Michael, and I could kill any other plot.
That's not true. We can't kill any other plots, you know.
Yeah, you can't kill plots.
But terrific.
That would defeat the purpose.
So do we have an offer for our lords and ladies out there?
You know we do. Well, they're not our Lord and ladies.
Well, they're not going to be yet. But
For
if you'd
our
like
hoes
to
and
be,
bros yet?
Listen, hoes and bros, if you'd like to be lords and ladies,
you gotta call Established Titles. So you can go to establishedtitles.com/Theo Harris to save 10% off your order. And Established Titles is doing a Black Friday sale right now, so you can get a further deal.
Oh, that's fantastic. Head on over to Established Titles and make yourself a lord.
Or lady.
Entrepreneurship. That's a tough one.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Is it underrated or overrated?
As in forming a business?
No, as in, what the fuck do you think? I mean, no, not as in forming a business. Like,
what do you mean? Is forming a business overrated or underrated?
Is operating a business? What do you not know what entrepreneurship means?
No, but is it like, I don't know, is it accountant overrated or underrated?
Is being an accountant I have to ask an accountant. You have to ask an accountant. I mean, like, what the fuck is that? Like, you don't understand.
No.
You have a business.
I guess
we have a business.
Okay.
The fuck? You don't know what entrepreneurship
I just
is?
don't know. I didn't know where specifically am I saying is overrated and money? Underrated.
Is money underrated? Money's overrated.
Of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, but money is properly rated when in the middle class, and it is very overrated above that. You know, because
you get to see how disgusting money gets when
gross.
people are throwing their watches on the floor.
Yeah.
You can erase that if you want.
How many boats can you ski behind, Gordon? That's the truth. But okay, so entrepreneurship. I think as an entrepreneur, I think that it is not nearly as hard as people think, as smart people think. I think there are plenty of very qualified people that could have great businesses that are afraid to because it's very daunting.
Yes.
I think that entrepreneurship is underrated if you can get beyond that, because the freedom it can give you and the personal satisfaction that it can give you is remarkable.
It is.
It's so satisfying. It's amazing. I think that we did education last time, higher education. I think that culturally in America, I think it is encouraged to be an entrepreneur, but I don't really think it's encouraged to be an entrepreneur. And that's lip service.
I would agree.
I think that plenty of entrepreneurs do not need to be spending the money that they do in school, and yet they're doing it, and then they're kind of almost disabled in the market because now they have so much debt.
Yeah.
You know, I think that it is I think it's pretty much fucking grossly underrated. That being said, when you're in tech circles, it's very overrated because everyone's a fucking entrepreneur, which really just means that they raise money for a living and don't make anything, and that's bad.
Yeah, right.
But if you're just good old fashioned business, you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money off of yourself, as opposed to making a little bit of money and making a hell of a lot for someone else. So I think that it's not as scary as you think.
There's obviously it's risky. That's the big scary part, but and risky and I don't know the right word, but you could get discouraged the day before you have the success.
Yeah.
But there's a quote, I forget who it's by, that's like entrepreneurs will work 80 hours a week to avoid a 40-hour per week job.
Yes.
I fully agree.
That, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You've never really had a different job.
No.
I did. And I remember wanting to leave that job and scrolling on LinkedIn looking for jobs and just being like, if this is life, this is the most miserable.
Yeah.
I don't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah.
I hate all of this. I hate this company culture look. I hate all of it.
Yeah.
And it was just the most pessimistic I've ever been. I was like, if this is the world, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And to those people like that, like my dad is also like that, and you're like that.
Yeah.
It's like, then it's worth a try rather than living in this machine that you can try to do something else.
My dad's a great example. Smart guy, corporate guy, does very well now. Classic American story, But he definitely looks back and regrets never having doubled down on himself. He's probably made so many millions for other people, and he's seen his superiors, CEOs, whatever, blah blah blah, all these different guys. The CEO he works for now does own the company, so that's why I'm just calling him an entrepreneur, because the guy is an entrepreneur. Win or lose, they still booze, right? Win or lose, they're still making a boat. They're making 20 mil, 30 mil, 50 mil. Yeah. So he's like, wow, like not this particular situation, but so many over time. You're like, fuck, those guys that just left, or counterparts that like went and did their own thing 5 years ago. He's like, fuck, like they're really murdering, you know. Why didn't I do that? I was smart enough. Why didn't I do it? And it's just a matter of comfort and fear. That's it. Like people come to me a lot and ask me about how business advice when they're starting a business, and I answer them all the time. And one of the first things I do is, you're talking way too much. Like, which is funny coming from me, but they'll just talk in circles about how they're going to start the business, blah, 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 all these different things. They'll for an hour or whatever, or in circles for weeks. And I'm like, all this time you could have just started it. You're an idiot. Like, just move, go.
Yeah, right,
it's easier than you think. Yeah. Okay. Next subject here in the watch category: underrated, overrated, Hodinkee. That's a good one, right? Because 1, 2, 3. Overrated. I think appropriately rated. Because rated. Now I don't, or maybe honestly, underrated in the watch community.
Underrated
in the watch community. I think in greater community, grossly overrated. The accolades that they get, I think, are ridiculous.
Interesting.
I think it's ridiculous. The tech, all these accolades, I think it's silly. But in the watch community, they get a hell of a lot of hate.
Yes.
Much of which they deserve, right? Because like everyone deserves some hate sometimes. They say something stupid. That's not a big deal. But they are a founding father of the watch community, and
historically, I will say they're underrated.
Yeah, but even as of the last 3 years, they've produced some of the most remarkable historical pieces. Like, even just the other day, they released this whole article about the history of 5711, and that may be unimportant to people, but like that doesn't exist on the web. And there is a history of 5711 Nautilus. Like there are many variations that we don't even realize. All 5711s were not the same. There were marks to them, So they do a great service to the watch community. So I do think within the community, they're underrated because of all the hate they've gotten. In the grand world, I think they're probably overrated.
I think Hodinkee's trajectory, obviously we're talking very small thing in the actual world, was like this, and then now it's here. But I do think they're doing like watch DNA. It's like a 30-second video about watches, about a specific watch. I do think in 5 years, Hodinkee will wipe out a lot of content makers.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, next one is, let's see, Lobster. Underrated or overrated? Lobster.
1, 2, 3.
Overrated.
Incredibly underrated.
Really?
It's my dad's livelihood.
No, really. Do you eat lobster? No, you don't even eat lobster.
I don't eat meat.
Okay. I think it's overrated. Mm-hmm. I love lobster bisque. I think it's one of the most flavorful things in the entire world.
Okay.
Because that's a lot of lobster stock.
Sure.
And I think that lobster stock in a lobster bisque, if it's a good lobster bisque, is remarkable, because lobsters can be very flavorful. But I don't know, when you go to a restaurant and people put on the bib and spend a lot of money on lobster,
the performance of it, and everything.
And butter. I don't think that butter complements lobster at all. I think that butter is I think it deafens the lobster. I think that a lobster roll is very good, but is it doubly as good as a shrimp roll? I
would say crab is dramatically better than anything else.
Crab is unbelievably tasty. Yeah. It's so sweet. It's incredible.
The texture of it. I've had crab, and I haven't eaten meat in like 3 or 4 years, and I still remember. Crab is fantastic.
Crab is wild. So so I think contextually, lobster is way overrated. Still can be amazing, right? You can coax it to its fullest potential, like a good Pinot, and it's fucking good. That's a sideways reference, and it can be great. But no, generally speaking, I think lobster is pretty overrated.
That being said, my dad is a lobsterman, and I'm from Cape Cod.
5711, Patek. I know this is an obvious one,
Oh, you think it's obvious?
Well, no. I think it's such an easy topic to say, like 5711 Patek, like underrated or overrated.
Are we going us or Watch World?
We're going Watch World.
Watch World. Okay.
1, 2, 3. Grossly overrated.
Yes, overrated
Yeah.
by far.
Yeah.
Us, me, appropriately rated. Not for price, but just when I see it at 5711, I'm like, wow, that's a good watch.
Yeah, it's a
But
it's
that's
tough.
pulling away from the actual market, because market comes in, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Look at this thing.
It's tough because the 3700 Nautilus is so perfect.
Yes.
The original Nautilus, and I think that this is such a bad version of a Nautilus compared to that. It's amazing. I think
you
it's
see
not
the new
even
one?
close. The 5800.
Whatever just came out.
5811.
It's just a Nautilus.
Yeah, well, it's larger.
It's larger.
It's 1 millimeter larger.
1
only
millimeter
available in
larger.
white gold right now, but it will be available in steel at some point, obviously.
It's, yeah.
I think the 5711. I think when you compare it to the 3700, it is not forward progress. I think the 3700 rather. Better proportions. It was thinner. It was pure. It was a pure Nautilus. That being said, I think the 5712 is grossly underrated. It's looked at as another Nautilus, and it is one of the greatest Nautiluses of all time. I think it's that good of a watch. Everything about it is just it's phenomenal. It's brilliant. It's so well balanced. It's complicated. It's a complicated steel Patek everything about it. I think it may have been the best Nautilus ever. It's within that family. It's with the 3700.
Yeah.
That's how good it is. And now they just released it in rose gold with the chocolate dial, which is interesting as well. So I think that the 5711 is overrated. Yeah.
I would say so too. Yeah. I do, and I say this every time. If they fully utilized the purpose of that watch in marketing, I'd be drooling over it every day, though.
Yeah.
If it was a guy in the water, people in the water with it, like showing off, like, no, this is like that watch.
Yep.
Beautiful. But now it's, when you get into Patek and then the price rising and everything, it just becomes, like we said, if you go to certain events, if you're not wearing a Daytona, it's because you can't get one.
Yep.
Same thing with the Nautilus, same thing with the Royal Oak.
Yep.
Then it's overrated.
Yep.
But in terms of it being a watch, very, very, very cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So yeah, one more and then we'll call it a day.
Yes, sir.
Vintage Omega Seamasters and Constellations. Ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Disgustingly underrated.
100%. It's
Yes.
unbelievable. Again, we're going back into the mid 20th century, the 1940s, 50s, 60s. The quality. Historical eras. The introduction of the original Constellation, right? The first ever Omega serially produced chronometer.
When a pilot needed, I forget which Omega Seamaster it is, but the transatlantic flight one.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm talking about?
We're going back to real history, not to even putting aside the history, which you don't have to, but if you did, just the level of intricacy and detail that they were achieving at this time with the linen dials, with the honeycomb, with all this stuff.
Copper tone movements.
This is when Omega was independent, right? This is before Swatch Group. Omega's still a great company, but holy shit, when you look back into the mid 20th century, it was remarkable. So much of my passion for watches has been built on the back of my love for vintage Omega, even more than Rolex at many stages in my life, because Rolex was expensive, and even when I love Rolex, but I would look at it like, wow, I can get an Omega for half the price, and frankly,
that's the thing with vintage Omega.
The quality's better than Rolex in many cases.
Right.
I love my Datejust. I love my Datejust.
Yeah.
There are Constellations in the watch shop, in the Theo and Harris watch shop right now, that by every actual measure are better than this watch.
And
they
cheaper.
are better and cheaper.
Yes.
They are half the price, and they are just as good, if not better. It's unbelievable. The white gold bezels, the linen dials, the crystals, all the little details, the proportions, phenomenal.
The variety is huge.
It's phenomenal. Not to mention strap monsters, from suede to crocodile. It is an heirloom, right? It was an heirloom when it was purchased in 1955 or 1965, and it is an heirloom now when you purchase it in 2022, and that is the truth.
Tito's never had his service.
Never had his Omega service.
You should.
That's how good. That's how good these watches are.
Yeah.
You should service it, but you never. I mean, in many cases, they're so good that the owners never even needed to, and they still keep perfect time. That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I have a deep passion for vintage Omega, Rolex as well, of course, and that's why the Theo and Harris watch shop is constantly stocked with them. I'm constantly looking all over the world for them and bringing them to you, and I wear them constantly. Right now, I'm wearing my Datejust, but I was wearing my Seamaster just yesterday. I shipped out a linen Constellation the other day to Japan. It's just constantly with vintage Omega. It's remarkable value. So grossly underrated.
Fully agree.
Shop watches in the Theo and Harris watch shop, and for straps to pair with said watches, go over and shop straps.
What if I need to store my watches?
Oh, watch rolls, baby, just landed. In the leather shop, we have watch rolls as well. They're fantastic. This green Saffiano 2 watch roll is phenomenal. Go ahead and shop Theo and Harris for all your holiday needs.